Hey everybody, got a little different type of video for you tonight. So I got an email recently about potential axle swaps with Red Cat Vertex 10, and I wanted to show you a little bit about how the spreadsheet works here, the master gear ratio calculator. So if you look on the bottom of the page here, you got three different tabs. Final drive calculator, that is your main sheet there that you use. Transmission values and axle values. Within the transmission values, on the left here, you'll see sometimes there is a spur gear size listed. If the transmission has a dedicated spur gear, you're gonna have to choose that in the menu here. Some of them are adjustable. You can swap the spur gears, whatever, so you'll have to figure out what you're using there and adjust that accordingly. Axle values, there's a whole bunch of them in the list here, over 100. You'll have different axle ratios, front and rear, and that will become important here, you'll see in just a few minutes. So, I want to show you a couple baselines here real quick. This is the stock Red Cat Vertex 10 narrow. It's a little different than the wide in that it's got 10% overdrive in the front axle, 10% underdrive in the rear axle for 20% total, and then it's designed around 4.75 inch tall tires. The kits come with the same 14 tooth pinion, the RTRs come with the same 1700 kV motor, and I've entered a 4S battery here on the spreadsheet. So what I want you to pay attention to, down in the lower right here, mile per hour front, that is your front mile per hour wheel speed. Your front end is doing most of the work. That's where all the weight is. When you're climbing, whatever, that's doing the work. The rear is kind of dragging along because potential overdrive there. So pay attention mostly to the front here. I'm gonna change a couple values here and show you what the wide version looks like. Vertex 10W. Everything else being the same, you got 20% overdrive on the front, 10% underdrive on the rear, and 5.25 inch tall tires. So notice our wheel speed went up to 9.5 miles per hour. Obviously, the front end is spinning 10% faster. So that's where that comes from, plus the extra height of the tires. So the question was, what potential axle options are there to swap onto this rig? And my answer is a little bit complicated because we got to do this math. So in case you didn't know, the Vertex 10 transmission has only 2-to-1 reduction and a 40-tooth spur gear. Okay? You can see that in the upper right-hand corner there. And you can see it, transmission values. Cat Vertex 10 right here, 1.889. So it's almost 2-to-1 reduction. That is a really tall transmission, meaning it's fast. There is not a lot of reduction in there. The reason they did that is because their axles do have a lot of reduction, between 9-to-1 and the rear end almost 12.5-to-1. That's a lot more reduction in the axles than most. So some of the obvious choices to swap are, let's look at a stock Capra here. Stock Capra, 7.188-to-1. Okay? So let's go back to that main page there. So nothing else. Everything else being the same, let's just swap the axles here. Gonna find a stock Capra front and a stock Capra rear. There you go. Wheel speed went up to 12 miles per hour, but we lost all of our overdrive. The only way to get that overdrive back is through the axle gears, since the stock transmission doesn't have overdrive built into it. So let's play with those numbers a little bit. There's only one option for the rear, and that's underdrive the ring and pinion. And then let's try to get back to our 30-ish%. Let's double overdrive the front. 123 OD2. 32%. Our wheel speed goes up even faster, almost 15 miles per hour to the front, because these axles are geared taller. So stock transmission is geared tall. Now we're putting axles in with less reduction, and those are also geared taller as well. So I'm gonna back up a couple steps and show you another option here. So we're back to stock, 9.51 miles per hour. Good transmission choice here would be Deluxe OD4, and that has a 36-tooth spur gear. This is a 3-to-1 transmission with a 36-tooth spur gear. Notice I'm leaving that pinion the same at 14 there. And transmission has, 28% overdrive built into it. So let's go back to those capper axles. I'm gonna underdrive the rear, and let's do a stock ratio in the front. Because if you do the math, 28% in the transmission and 10 in the rear would be 38%. That's about where I want to be here, about 35-ish% in a scale rig. So stock front, underdrive rear, 38% overdrive. Wheel speed to the front is 8.3 miles per hour. Very manageable. That is probably going to be the best option that I would recommend, and I believe this is what I replied to the email about. There are some other things we can do here to help improve this, though. So one of the things I like doing is running a faster motor and having more reduction in the gearing. I try not to run below an 11-tooth pinion because they're a little weak and they're a little loud. So I'm going to start with an 11-tooth pinion, and my Stumpy here only comes in 3 flavors here: 1800, 2000, and 2200 kV. So we'll go with the 2200. Remember, we're on 5.25-inch tall tires here. Our wheel speed is 8.5 miles per hour with this combination. So technically, I would probably gear up a little bit, even with that motor. There you go, 13-tooth pinion, 2200 kV, 4S LiPo, 5.25-inch tall tires, stock ratio capper front, underdrive capper rear, and OD4. Looks fantastic to me. Back to our stock Vertex here for a moment. Now, I did some work on my own rig here. Converted it to rear steer. I put the front axle in the rear because the whole idea of that was a conversion kit for the rear, new servo tray, and link kit there. So you can take a stock front axle. But since Red Cat does not yet offer complete axle assembly, I tried something new. I had already wanted to change up my normal class 3 and wanted to give these Muse isokinetic capper axles a try. So I picked up a pair of those. And I'm using the front from that kit in the front of my Vertex 10 for now. So let's go ahead and plug these numbers in. I'm actually running 2200 4S and let's see here. I must be running a 12-tooth pinion. Yeah, that's about what I'm doing now. We'll call it 11. That's fine. So this is my current combination up until just a couple days ago. What I did was took my front axle out and put a Muse up front. And I'm gonna be changing these a little bit step by step here to see you, to show you what happens here. If I just drop that front axle on there, actually it comes with overdrive, doesn't it? Where are we at? It actually comes with overdrive. 73% overdrive though, because again, capper ratio axles are taller, they're faster than the Vertex, and it comes with double overdrive. So in place of that, what I did was slowed that guy way down. I took the stock rear underdrive diff out of the Vertex rear axle, and I put that in the front muse axle. And then in place of the rear, I put a stock ratio axial gear set back there. Where are we? And then I must be running 10-tooth pinion. There we go. That's where I'm at. And a 10-tooth pinion there. So what I am personally running is a stock transmission, 10-tooth pinion, 2200 stumpy, 4S lipo, 5 1/4 inch tall tires because it's class 3 rig, all-wheel steer and dig. But I had to take a Capra front or the Muse front and put underdrive ring and pinion in it, and then the stock Vertex 10 front axle in the rear, but then I had to put stock axial ratio 30:8 back there to speed that up. So I had to slow down the front and speed up the rear to come up with my 35% overdrive. And my goal, as always, is 10 to 10.5 miles per hour. So, well, I posted some photos and some notes and whatever. I was questioned. I was asked, why did I slow down the front? Why did I underdrive the front? Well, this is why. Because with a taller rear axle in there, I had to slow it down, but I also had to speed up the rear. Otherwise, I would just had a crazy high overdrive percentage, and I didn't need that. So, anyways, that's a little idea of how the spreadsheet works and how I use it to build my rigs. I'll give you one more example here, just kind of starting from scratch. Keep in mind, my front mile per hour is always, my goal is always between 10 and 10.5 miles per hour. So, starting from scratch, I'm building a brand new class 2 Nessie for my dad. And without even looking it up, I'm gonna tell you how I'm gonna set that thing up. So, we're gonna, first of all these fields here that are highlighted different colors, we're gonna select what we know. 475 tall tires, 4S power. I'm gonna leave the motor for now. We're gonna do SS Deluxe rear, and I know that's gonna need underdrive because chassis comes with OD3 trans, and that only has 18%. So 10% underdrive in the rear, 18% in the front. It's gonna get me to 28. We're gonna take that DX44 front and overdrive it to give me about 38%, okay? So overdrive front, underdrive rear for 20, and then the 18 in the trans puts me at 38. 4.75 inch tall tires, 4S lipo. And now let's figure out the last couple details. OD3 has a 44 tooth spur gear. We're gonna try and stick with nothing smaller than 11 tooth pinion. Notice that 2200 kV motor there puts us a little spicy at 11 miles an hour. Dad ain't gonna like that. He's not gonna be able to keep up with that right away. So we'll drop that down to 1800 kV. Ideally, that 2000 kV team spec would be pretty awesome, but I don't have any of those right now, I don't think. Maybe I got a stash. So we'll just run that 1800, 9 miles per hour to the front with an 11 tooth pinion. So we'll bump that up just a hair, 9.75. That's close. That's close enough. If it were mine, yeah, that's a little spicy. Just a hair. 12 tooth pinion, OD3, overdrive front axle, underdrive rear, 1800 kV motor, 4S, and 475s puts me pretty much right where I want to be in a class 2-ish build. So a couple other things I wanted to point out real quick. First of all, if there's any new transmissions that you know of, transfer cases, whatever, you want them added to the list, shoot me a message, and I will do my best to add that in there for you. If you're creating, building, designing something of your own, come up with a name, let me know if it's got a dedicated spur gear or if it's adjustable, and I'll get it on the list for you. Same for axle values. These change a lot. Lots and lots and lots of different possibilities there. But yeah, I'll go ahead and add them to the list. So if you have any questions or anything, shoot me a message, and I'll try to help you out as best I can. Thanks, everybody.